Hello, NFL and Atlanta Falcons fans. Great to see you on this Saturday. A little cloudy here in Chicago, but otherwise, good Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, depending on where you're watching. Welcome to another episode of Jackson Pigskins. I'm Tom Powell, along with Wanda Weidman.
Hey, everyone.
Today, we're going to talk about the announcement of team owner Arthur Blank and quarterback great Matt Ryan being inducted into the Atlanta Falcons Ring of Honor, which was announced this week. We're also going to talk briefly about the two signings the Falcons made from the UFL and whether the UFL can eventually mine more gold out of spring football. But before we start the discussion, the show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Sign up with Prize Picks today. Receive a match of up to $100 on your first deposit. So $100 of free money. Who can say no to that? And remember to use the promo code ASU. So Prize Picks knows where you heard about their site. Yep, you got it. And you support the site, support Atlanta Sports Unlimited, and supports the show. You can currently make player prop position predictions on MLB. Can even make predictions on the CFL. CFL is going, and NFL 2024 future player prop bets. My Falcons season player prop for this week, as you know, I gave you Kirk Cousins 2 weeks ago. Gave you, I've been running through them pretty good. Gave you Kyle Pitts, gave you Drake London's number. So this week, they have Darnell Mooney projected for 575.5 receiving yards for 2024. So we say with the Bears last season, he totaled 441 yards and 31 receptions. Did he have a great rookie season in 2021 with 81 catches, 1,055 yards. So Mooney is capable. You never know. You might want to get out there and grab that before it goes up anymore. He never seemed to form a bond with Justin Fields, though. Seems to me. I don't know how you felt about it, Wanda.
He did in the beginning. And then once the following year, Darnell kind of like with the injury was out. But once DJ Moore came in, he just could not connect with Mooney at all. So that kind of put Mooney in that trajectory to go someplace else. And I think he's going to have a way better chance with Kirk Cousins.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
So do I. Absolutely. Much more seasoned quarterback and a guy who's proven himself and, and those proven himself at the position. So, looking forward to see what Mooney can do for the Falcons this year.
Yeah.
But as I said, only 575.5 is what he's been projected at. So
right.
Sign up for Prize Picks. Jump on that. You got some nice numbers to jump on. Kirk Cousins, 3,999.5 yards. So basically you're saying, does he get to 4,000 or not?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, very possible. I think so. So I'm going to keep bringing you Falcons Prize Picks, player props until, I don't know, until I run out of them. But first topic today, and we'll see how long the show goes. We don't, it's amazing with the 6-week period between minicamp and the start of training camp, where trying to throw things in here and find things to entertain the viewers with is a little bit difficult. But hey, as I've always said,
guarantee you every week there's going to be something new. So
yeah, absolutely, it. So we'll always have something for you. Falcons are ready to induct owner Arthur Blank quarterback Matt Ryan, will be the 13th and 14th members of the Falcons Ring of Honor. This is the first two-person Ring of Honor class since 2008, when Mike Ken and Claude Humphrey were inducted. And as you viewers know, about 3 years ago, Dave and I made a push to try to get Mike Ken as a senior committee nominee to the Hall of Fame. And we actually got him into the final 12.
Oh, wow.
But as I was saying before, maybe we'll make a formal push for that again this year. Try to get some of the fans who watch the show during Saturdays, fans who watch the show during the week. Try to get you to write in to the Football Hall of Fame in Canton and nominate, just put on a little card that you are nominating Mike Ken for the Hall of Fame. And that's what we had fans do 2 or 3 years ago. We actually talked to Mike Ken, which was probably one of the best, most fun Saturdays I've.
It must have been fun.
So, but I don't know. I think, we should try that again. We should try making a weekly push to get Mike Ken back into, see if we can get that writing candidacy going.
Yeah.
Marcel, happy Saturday. Good to see you. But, I'm not saying maybe, Dave and I did that.
We could probably push through Twitter as well.
Yeah. We woke up some awareness that they could actually, that the fans could actually do something about it.
Yeah.
And got him as far as he had ever gotten in the Hall of Fame nomination process. So, I think we do that again this year.
Sounds good.
But there hasn't been a nomination for the Ring of Honor since 2022. So, Ryan's ceremony will be in week 5 during the Falcons game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I expect Mercedes-Benz Stadium to be full of red and black Falcons fans to honor Matt Ryan. Wanda, you put together some stats on Matt Ryan. Go ahead and give us break down the great career.
So what, Matt Ryan was the 3rd pick in the first round back in 2008. There were only 2 quarterbacks taken in that first round. The other one was Joe Flacco, and I believe he was number 18, I think it was. But just those 2. And Ryan had, through that time, had a 14-year tenure in with the Birds, and he garnered several awards in that time frame, including the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award and the Manning Award in 2007, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2008, then the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2016, League MVP in 2016, and NFL Passing Leader in 2016, plus first-time All-Pro and the Ben Bell Award in 2016. So he had quite a quite a career for himself, passing for 62,792 yards in his career, but leads the franchise with the most passing yards. So for the Atlanta Falcons, he leads so much in Falcon history with 59,735 yards. And Steve Bartarski, he came in second with 23,470 yards. So that's a huge, huge difference. But being that Matty Ice had this long tenure with the Falcons. It is absolutely deserving for him to be in this Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I agree. He's out of anybody. He is. Well, I know Tommy Nobis, who was the first pick overall for the Falcons in when they first came into the league in 1966.
Right.
He's known as Mr. Falcon, but I think you can put Matt Ryan up into that stratosphere where, you know, he's just one of these guys that's gonna he's one of the faces of the team.
Yeah.
Completely. So, but interesting that passing number does put Ryan 7th all time in among passing leaders. Matthew Stafford's gaining. Aaron Rodgers is gaining. I don't know if they're going to get there. So I think Matt Ryan's going to stay 7th for quite a while. Also, one of the things that's always impressed me about Matt Ryan was his game-winning drives, fourth quarter comebacks. He was always could be counted on.
Yeah.
To get the team back in the fourth quarter. I remember early in his career, the Bears had just taken a lead on the Falcons. And I think the last 45 seconds, Ryan drove the Falcons down to field goal position and won the game. And I tell you, for 5-6 hours late into the evening, I still felt the Bears won that game.
Yeah, exactly.
I could not believe that the Bears had lost that game. That's how precise, these precision comebacks could be for Matt Ryan because,
in 10 seasons in the
finally dawned on me. Hold
it. He was in the top 10.
Yeah. So he's 6th in game-winning drives, just ahead of Matthew Stafford, just behind Dan Marino. So, great company there. Ahead of Brett Favre, John Elway in game-winning drives. That's damn impressive to me. And as far as fourth quarter comebacks, he is 4th in bringing the Falcons back from the brink of defeat and bringing them to victory in the fourth quarter. He is 4th all time behind Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, incredible stats that he has. Marcel says, come on, show. There we go. I wasn't getting it. Best Falcon ever? Maybe. I would say right now, yes. Best Falcon ever.
Yes.
I would put him in that at that level. He was just, you knew the Falcons were going to contend every year when Matt Ryan was the team's quarterback. And he drove them to the playoffs his first season. He was a rookie and they made the wild card round. So tells you what he was as a player and why Matty Ice, that nickname worked so well for him because there's ice water in his veins. He didn't worry about anything. Guy was something else. So, so Matt Ryan being in, is a great honor and without a doubt, one of the best to ever do it. I would expect Julio Jones to be honored like that one of these days. So once Julio does hang him up, Ryan officially hung him up this year. He signed a one-day contract with the Falcons and retired, which was a great way of doing it. Yeah.
Do you think, Tom, that when he signed with the Colts, that was maybe a desire for him to see if he can continue in the league, or it was just bad timing, bad team. What do you think happened there that the following year he chooses to retire?
I think he had had enough of it. Things did not work out well for him in Baltimore, Indianapolis. My God, I'm showing my age there.
I was going to say that was a while back.
Did not have a good year in Indianapolis. I don't think it was all his fault.
Yeah.
Now, the thing I was going to get into when we got into Arthur Blank was Ryan was still ready to stay in Atlanta that season. He was upset that he had made an agreement to kind of kick the can down the road as far as his salary cap number. And then the Falcons made that push for Deshaun Watson. And I looked at SpotTrack the next day, and that extension was gone. He pulled that extension off. He refused the extension.
Wow.
So he would have stayed in Atlanta, except for their push for Deshaun Watson. And I think he was a little angered by that,
yeah, I'm kind of glad that they didn't sign Watson. I don't think
the fact that he felt he got. So he didn't really work out with Arthur Smith anyway his first season. I don't think Smith wanted him as quarterback.
Watson or Ryan?
Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't think Ryan was not that quarterback that you looked at and said, this is an Arthur Smith quarterback. I think, he's one of the greats, Falcons greats. You got to put him on the field. He's got to be your quarterback, but I don't think Smith was ever happy about it. Unfortunately, because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, backfired.
They ended up in a couple of other directions that they should not have gone in. Larry Orange comes in with a comment, which is interesting and fairly timely. You could argue that Ryan saved the franchise. If you recall, he came in after the Vic arrest and the Petrino fiasco. And that's true. The Falcons were reeling a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Falcons had a lot of problems after the Vic arrest, and then Bobby Petrino. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go into that. Better off he went, because I think the Falcons. I think the Falcons probably benefited more from his leaving than anything. That was a bizarre year for the Falcons. But my question for you now that he's in the Ring of Honor,
okay,
is Matt Ryan a Hall of Famer?
Good question. I think his stats would say yes, deservingly so, in what he brought to Atlanta. And just like our last listener and stating, you could say that he saved the franchise. I think agreeably true. Unfortunately, did not win a Super Bowl, but then, you have several quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame that did not win any Super Bowls. Right. So, I don't think that's a factor. I think his record shows that he is deserving of being in there, but I think he has quite a few other quarterbacks that would wind up being first year. So, definitely, next year you'll have first year Tom Brady in there. You'll have possibly some other ones that are haven't been in there. Ben Roethlisberger hasn't been added in there. So, I would think there's going to be other quarterbacks that'll probably go in before Ryan. But is he deserving? Yeah, I think so. You could say so.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I say he is.
Yeah.
I say without a doubt he is.
Yeah.
And looking at Pro Football Reference, for a career, their player comps for Matt Ryan, they comp him with Dan Marino, John Elway, Phillip Rivers, who will probably go in, Fran Tarkenton, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Russell Wilson, Ken Anderson, who should be in. So, his comps are all Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I just say, without a doubt, he has to go in. I know there was a question when he left Atlanta after his last season in Indianapolis, but to me, I have no doubt Matt Ryan goes into the Hall of Fame when he's able to. I think he's a first ballot man. I've always been a fan. So Larry Orange agrees. And anybody else who's watching right now, give us your comments. You agree, disagree? As far as Matt Ryan. God, my brain goes on.
I mean, he's up there with the top 25 all passing leaders.
Yeah.
So like I said, his record shows that he is well deserving of being a Hall of Famer. When he gets in, who knows if he's going to be a first ballot or not, but he's proven himself in this league time and time again, and I think he's well deserving of it.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah,
absolutely. Without a doubt, he's deserving of it. So I'm not going to, with me, yeah. Marcel makes a good comment here. It's a shame he'll never be truly appreciated in Atlanta. And I don't know. I'm going to have to take your word for that, Marcel, that he was never truly appreciated in Atlanta. What's the reason? Can't be winning because Vic is loved. See, that's the thing. My problem is that Super Bowl, that was not Matt Ryan's fault that the Falcons lost the Super Bowl.
That's
it was
absolutely
Dan Quinn's fault and Mike Shanahan's fault that they lost that Super Bowl. All right. Shanahan, instead of keeping the ball on the ground, running clock, maybe losing 2 yards per play, was still well within Matt Ryan's range and would have had the field goal to make the lead 2 scores again and make things a lot more difficult on the Patriots to tie that game up or get the lead. So,
they needed the defense. They needed the defense. I mean, you were up 28-3. So that defense needed to hold back the Patriots. And they just let Tom Brady just run all over.
Yeah. See, another problem is in the second quarter, Brady looked terrible. Brady, they were making Brady look awful.
Right.
And I think they took their foot off the gas.
Exactly.
And
took the words right out of my brain because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Because they had cut, Brady could do nothing in that second quarter. He looked terrible. He looked like an old quarterback in that second quarter. And I think they took their foot off the gas. Dan Quinn, the Edelman catch where he caught it between the two Falcons, ball never hit the ground. He threw the challenge flag before the replay had even been shown. And you saw the replay, and the replay showed Edelman caught the ball easily. Instead of waiting for the replay, they lost a timeout. When they got the ball back with the tie score, 46 seconds left, Matt Ryan didn't have a timeout in his pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a timeout in Ryan's pocket, the entire field is within play, and he was hitting long passes. I would have expected Ryan to be able to get the ball back into Matt Ryan's field goal range. But he didn't have that timeout that he needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Dan Quinn blew the timeout. So that wasn't Ryan's thing, right? Ryan did everything possible to win that Super Bowl.
He did.
And definitely dying that mountain because there's a lot of things that happened, and they weren't Matt Ryan's fault that the Falcons did not win. It was just plain and simple, the coaching collapsed. So it's the way it is.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, now to talk about not only do we have Matt Ryan going into the Ring of Honor, we have Arthur Blank will be honored, team owner since 2002. He's going to be honored during the Week 3 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And my thing is, I've always looked at it, there's never been any doubt. Arthur Blank has always wanted to bring that Super Bowl to Atlanta. He has, his desire for it. He wants to fight for it as much as possible. Since he took over, the Falcons are 178, 176, and 1, 8 playoff appearances, 2 NFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl. And you had a question for me. So
here's my question is, how common is it that an owner would need to be inducted in their own team's Ring of Honor? Like, I've never heard of that, but maybe I'm not aware of that through the league, but that's the first time I've ever heard that. I mean, you're the owner.
Ring of Honor is for your players.
Yeah.
It's for your elite players. Showing them that you appreciate what they've done for you during their career. That's a Ring of Honor. I could see Jerry Johnson insisting on being inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. To me, it's just an ego thing. It's all ego. As far as Arthur Blank being inducted into the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And as successful, and I've got a few problems with Blank myself, as successful as they've been under Blank, he's overstepped his position a lot more in recent years to try to make the Falcons into another Super Bowl contender. And I think he's been part of the problem why the Falcons have struggled. Because he's getting himself involved in football operations. And we've seen in Dallas, we've seen Dan Snyder in Washington, we've seen what happens when owners get involved in football operations. It never ends well.
No.
Tepper in Carolina, But because of Blank, the team ended up in salary cap hell because he wanted to pay Ryan and he wanted to pay Julio Jones, but they were at the end of their careers. but he wanted to pay them and say thank you for your service.
Right.
But that ended up being a major reason. Julio Jones' contract really took up a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
But it's surprising because that's where the Falcons went wrong. Why they had problems bringing a quarterback in. Again, he's the one who stepped in and tried to make the deal for Deshaun Watson. That basically drove Matt Ryan out of town. Because as I said, they had an extension set with Ryan for a couple of days. Then the news about Watson broke. I looked at Spot Rack. That extension was not there. So
yeah,
he had turned it down. So you end up without Ryan, and this is where you got into the quarterback problem that they're in now, because they had to bring in Marcus Mariota. They had to bring in, then they brought in Mariota and they drafted Desmond Ridder.
Right.
Instead of drafting a quarterback or bringing in somebody that could have, they're talking about bringing in Penix to learn under Kirk Cousins. Well, you had a chance to bring somebody in to learn under Matt Ryan.
Right.
But you overreached yourself by trying to bring in another quarterback.
Yeah.
And extending your quarterback legacy with Deshaun Watson instead of letting Ryan teach and mentor the next quarterback of the team.
Yeah.
And then Ridder failed last year, and they ended up in a position where they were stuck. This team is built to win, but they weren't built with a quarterback. And that's why they had to go get Kirk Cousins.
And it seemed like Blank became desperate after they lost the Super Bowl, knowing that they had extended Ryan, and then went to think, okay, just in case it doesn't work with Ryan, we'll get Deshaun Watson and then just take it from there, as if Watson's, and they would have wound up with, they wouldn't have even been able to play with Watson, because he would have been suspended the first year, and it's still, nothing would have changed in the result of what would have happened with Watson. So you would have had this, they still would have been in the same position. So it wasn't really well thought out on how they would have continued on. And like you said, if they had gotten drafted a much better quarterback to be under Ryan, I think it would have been a much better transition than where they put themselves in the past several years.
Yeah, because they were forced into a position where they had to have, I guess they decided they wanted to see if Mariota still had anything left, and failed miserably, and then wanted to see what they had in Desmond Ridder, and did the same thing. Just, found out that Ridder could not play as far as being a leader at quarterback. So, but see, to me, Arthur Blank put them in that position. See, Blank, after that Super Bowl, they never wanted to use the term rebuilding. Never used the term rebuilding. They always felt that their window was open. Even as players were falling to the wayside, even as guys were getting injured, even as guys were leaving the team, the Falcons would never use the term rebuilding. Thomas Dimitroff, who was general manager then, and Arthur Blank, no, we're not rebuilding. We're looking to win this year. Well, you're fooling yourselves.
Yeah.
It's
too bad.
Larry Orange has one other comment here, and love your comments every week, Larry. He said, well, you compare that to the Rankin Smith years where they hired Marion Campbell as head coach twice. Hey, I'm not saying that Blank is definitely better than the Rankin Smith years. That team just couldn't figure itself out. But but I think Arthur Blank is getting so desperate for that Super Bowl
Yeah.
that he's stepping in more and more and getting in the way of his football. The people he hired to build his football team. And that's never a good recipe for a winner. So, and I know a lot of people are disappointed, said that before the 2023 season, they were talking about Lamar Jackson from the Ravens. And I've always seen this on Twitter, seen this everywhere in articles. Lamar Jackson was never coming to Atlanta. Okay? Get that out of your head. Lamar Jackson was never coming to Atlanta. He was on a non-exclusive franchise tag. The reason he was on that non-exclusive franchise tag was so he could take offers from other teams and bring them back to Eric DeCosta with the Ravens and say, here's what I'm worth. And if the Falcons had made him an offer, he would have taken that back to Baltimore and said, here's what these guys think I'm worth. And that's what the Ravens would have paid him.
Yeah, he simply wanted to set the market.
Right. He was setting his own market. And the Ravens were smart enough to let him do it. Instead of fighting with him on salary, the Ravens let him set his own market.
Yep.
All right. See what you are worth out there in the field. All right. Everybody talks about, well, they settled for Desmond Ridder. They could have had Lamar Jackson. No, they never could have had Lamar Jackson. It wasn't going to happen. He was only on that non-tendered franchise tag to find out what he was worth around the league. And that's it. Yeah. He was never leaving Baltimore. So, we got a comment from James Obleton, who I think is a first-time commenter. This year, I think they are on the right track. Yep. I think they're closer to being on the right track, James. I think this team is starting to get itself pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think they made the wrong pick in the first round. And I say, all you Falcons fans, if you want to take receipts and come back at me after the season and say, here you said that the Falcons needed a pass rusher and they're in the playoffs and they made it with the defense they had. And, you idiot. I will take it. All right?
Yeah.
I will stand up and say I was wrong. I will own my statements. Don't worry about that. But I still think the Falcons did the wrong thing. But we will see.
You never know.
Take your receipts, and when the season is over, and if the Falcons are in the playoffs, I want to see a nice line of comments telling me what an idiot I was. Okay. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
But I will die on that tree. I will die on that hill. That the Falcons needed more help on their defensive line and didn't take advantage of it. Took advantage of it in the third round. Pro Football Focus thinks Arnold Ebiketie is ready to take another step this year. Maybe he does. Maybe he becomes the man. He's been playing in a fourth, playing with his hand in the ground. Maybe he plays better from a standing position and is able to get a better run at the tackle, use his hands better. So maybe this 3-4 defense is what Ebiketie needs.
Yeah, could be.
So, I'm willing to say that. But as I say, anybody, I'll own up to it. Don't worry about it. You're not going to catch me saying, oh, I never said that. I never said that. No, I'll own up to it. So you've got no problems with that. You're always going to get honesty out of me, if anything else.
I can support that.
So you always get that, but I may be wrong sometimes. But I've been watching the game for a long time, and I say I'm right a lot of times too. So the next I wanted to touch on briefly, because the Falcons have signed 2 UFL players this past week, spring football guys. Defensive tackle Prince Emili, who played for the San Antonio Brahmas and lost the UFL championship game. Finished the season with 21 tackles and 3 sacks. He was on Buffalo's roster in 2022, credited with 3 tackles, 1 pass defended. So a guy who does have NFL experience and has worked on his game in spring football. And the Falcons have signed him. They've also signed offensive lineman Jared Jones-Smith. He was an undrafted free agent out of Pittsburgh in 2018. Played 3 games with the Raiders in 2020 and with the Ravens in 2021, played 3 games. Also played in the AAF and XFL. It's getting to be too many abbreviations. I'm starting to, it's getting to be too much. But so they have signed 2 guys who have kind of went to the UFL, built their game, and James Ovalton, get ready to eat crow. No problem, James. We'll definitely serve it up if it's there. So 2 guys who do have NFL experience probably weren't NFL caliber players before they went to this, went into spring football. But do you think spring football can be a viable product on its own, or will it always be more of a developmental league for borderline NFL players?
I think it can. I think it can do both. I think it is a great gateway for players, past NFL players that maybe due to injury they had to go out and no team was taking them, so they get to go back in, showcase what they can do after just getting back into it without getting thrown into an NFL team and getting kicked out right away. And now they go on to a spring league, get more of that game experience back, get their motor running, show what they can do now, and then transition over. I think it's a great place also for those undrafted players that can get on these teams, show what they can do once they learn a little bit more about the mechanics. They have to work more on their stance and transitioning into the NFL. I think that helps for certain players to be able to slow the game down for them enough to move on to the NFL. So I know that a lot of the main players that get taken first when it comes to the UFL or XFL are the kickers. You're always looking for the kickers because something happens with the kicker, and their kickers suck, and so they have to try to get someone else. It was interesting that Bates was taken by Detroit after the Packers had looked at him, and the Packers just didn't take him, and so the Lions jumped on him. Bates was really, really good in the UFL, kicking over 60. He was like another. I'm trying to think of the kicker now for the Ravens. His name is escaping.
Oh, Tucker.
Yes, Tucker. He would kick the ball with ease over 60 yards just up the middle, just perfect. So I think it was a great move on the Lions' part to be able to close games like they need to at times. So I think that is helpful for them. At the same time, they had several players that were on defense that got picked up by a lot of other teams and some offensive players. So those are players that once they see those spring leagues, the NFL teams look at them and go, okay, we need to fill these holes now to see how we can work on it and then see what happens through uh, spring training. And once they go through that and they go through training camp, then if they play out and they hey, we like this player, we're going to keep them, then they'll keep them, and then they don't have to look at the other teams that get rid of players to bring them down to a 53-man roster. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for these players to get a chance to show what they can do, work out any kinks that they have. And I think if they continue this, I think it's going to be helpful for the NFL and for the XFL. It's been something that many fans and even some teams have wanted, is to have spring leagues so that they've got players they can choose from there to just bring on over already trained to play in the league, so that it's not that hard as they get in from a transition from college to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You're getting professional training.
Right.
You're getting professional coaches who are teaching you once you get to these spring leagues. So I know that does make a difference.
Yeah.
But will it be enough to keep fans supporting these leagues? Because that's, I think, is the main problem, is the money.
Yeah. Because those stadiums are not full at all, depending, I think, where they're at. So it depends on what city they're at. Now they did get, quite a few fans and people at their Super Bowl championship games. So they had several there, but some of these towns that have these teams, these XFL teams, they're more college towns. If they don't have an NFL team, their college team is all they care about. They don't care about anything else. So if you're Alabama, they don't care about any other team. Alabama is their team, their college team. So they're going to stay focused with their college team. So I'm not sure how well. I don't think it's really garnered the attention that they're looking at, but maybe this year was a good kickoff, and so they'll go forward. Well, looks like I kind of lost you there. But anyways, I think with the NFL, I think it's the XFL is going to take it to another level. And as the off season continues, they can continue on with more practice squad eligibilities to really gain attention. So I think this will help them out. I think also talking about the NFL rule changes this offseason, both Tom and I are going to be talking about the NFL and the changes going on there in 2024, especially when it comes to the kickoffs and tackling. How well are the Falcons set up to take advantage of those changes? I know a lot of teams are trying to pick up a lot of return kickers to really take advantage of that situation. So that'll be interesting to see how many return kickoffs we're going to have this season. The depth charts by position for the Falcons as we get closer to training camp, who is on the bubble to the roster spots, who has the best chance to make the 2024 roster among draft choices in the undrafted free agents in free agent signings. And then as we head into camp, we're going to look at what we think are the biggest holes on the roster. And if those holes are capable of being fixed before the season. So, Tom, I think we've got a lot to look forward to in this coming season.
Yep. Yeah, I do want to, I don't know if you mentioned rule changes, but I do want to talk rule changes. And I apologize to everybody. I lost my internet. My internet went completely out. So, I mean, sometimes
could be the Chicago weather.
Must be. But yeah, I don't know how much of you covered as far as the things that we're looking to talk about as we move into the season.
Yeah, I mentioned about how we were talking about the NFL rule changes.
Yeah. We'll be looking at depth charts for the Falcons. Look at depth charts for the entire division.
Yeah.
Because, let's see how the Falcons stack up to the rest of the NFC South. And if this team is ready to make a move on first place on the NFC South. And tell you the truth, just looking on paper, I think it is. But we'll look at some of these teams, the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers and see where they're sitting and kind of get a feel for the season as we move on. We'll see what the biggest holes on this Falcons roster still are. And, how do they fill them? Are there going to be waiver wire transactions? Usually are.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that works. Which players and coaches are going to be on the hot seat?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who are kind of on their final, step this year. If they can't get something worked out, it's one of those, what really burns my bottom, the flame 3 feet high. Well, there's a lot of coaches with that flame 3 feet high right now. But one of the things I want to say is if you got comments on any of that or anything else you think needs to be talked about, leave the comments down in the YouTube section under the screen. There's always a place for comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what is important to you. What do you want to see filling up this 6 weeks? And as I say, we're going to give you 6 weeks worth of product, but maybe I didn't mention something that means something to the fans, and bring it up. We'll talk about it. Today we are out of time. Unfortunately, I got back just out of time. But once again, we want to thank Prize Picks for being the show's sponsor. Sign up with Prize Picks. Get a match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the promo code ASU and let them know that Atlanta Sports Unlimited sent you. Also, we would appreciate if you would give a like to the channel. We're always coming up with more Atlanta sports content. And give a like to the show. And let's really build this show along. So, again, it's been great being with you for another Saturday. I thought we were going to have a 30-minute show today, Wanda.
I know for sure.
Really, I thought this was going to go 30 minutes and that would be it. But man, we talk these things through. It comes out pretty good.
I think so.
So, again, we're going to have more next week. We'll see what kind of news breaks this week for the Falcons in the NFL. It's always been great. I love being here with everybody on Saturday.
Me too.
Yep. And I say this every Saturday. the people who watch us live, people who watch us during the week. It's a blast. It's one thing I
We
really
appreciate
enjoy during the week. So thank you very much for being here for us. And we will talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone.